Hi all, Katrina with Blue Phoenix Creations here. Today I'm working on the Mega Dahlia scarf. This one turned out to be the Aurora Dahlia when it was all done. I have my fancy setup finally working. That would be a standard tiny projector, but mounted to the ceiling, so that I'm able to project and draw my resist lines instead of tracing my lines with pencil and then drawing on top. And yeah, making more work for myself, but there we go. Nice little resist lines, and I'll just have to slide back and forth in order to complete the entire project. I've been working on being able to lay down a smooth line with the resist without the jiggity-jaggedy of my hands shaking. Of course, my hands shake a little bit always, so there's only so much I can do. And the other hard part is you're squeezing the bottle. Now the bottle I'm using is a soft one and it's pen-sized, so that makes life a little easier. But yeah, that whole squeezing out the resist part makes lines difficult. But I'm working on it. Off camera, I used the resist to add some more detail to the center of the flower on some of the petals. When I put down the nice bright streak of yellow, I remembered that I wanted to apply water first. This will have the effect of A, thinning out the color so that it's diluted, and B, letting me blend everything together to get more of that watercolor effect. So there I went, back in with my water, and now I'm coming in with the yellow again. Yes, I'm doing terrible things to my brush here. Please ignore that part. So I loaded some yellow on the brush, started at the base of the petals, and now I'm just letting whatever's left in the bristles to very faintly work its way all the way up to the tip of the petal. I'm going to be using pink, and we'll get kind of that sunset orange coral effect, I hope, but I need a little yellow underneath everything. And then it's time for the magenta. Gotta love that one. Same kind of idea. Start at the top and work down, and then I'll go back in and work it back and forth, but a little bit of magenta down into the brightest yellow section to get that blend going on. And off we go. And I just continue going back and adding more magenta at the tip and working it down through the petal of the flower. I'm able to do this because of the water that I applied first. That gives a little dilution and allows me time to add more color and build it up slowly and in layers. And here I'm adding a little bit of a purple to the tip of the petal. I don't want a strong color. This flower should mostly be pink, so I have watered down the purple to thin it out even more, so it's more of a wash that's being applied over work that's already still wet with water, so thins it down even more. It gives me a hint of the purple color, and more than anything, gives me a little bit of shading with this. For anyone curious about the time, since this is sped up, painting this one petal of this very large flower took a little over 10 minutes. Not the fastest out there, not the slowest, but definitely time consuming. It's a good thing I enjoy this. I've completed the very large petals at either end of the scarf, and now I'm moving into the center of the flower. In this instance, these petals should be darker than the ones that are on the outside of the flower, so I'm not going to put the water all the way through on the petals. I'm going to leave the tip dry so that when I apply my magenta, it will leave a much deeper color, as it won't be pre-diluted with the water on the scarf. Coming in with the full strength magenta on the dry silk. It does look to be about the same intensity as when I was applying onto the wet scarf, but you'll see when it dries, I end up with a much darker tone. Back and forth, loading the dye onto my brush. It's a dance. It's a delicate dance, trying to find the balance. If I use a larger brush that holds more dye, I might make it bleed into places I don't want it to go. I'll stick with a smaller brush, smaller amounts of dye. I do have to reload the brush much more often, but I'm much less likely to have the dye bleed into the other petals that I don't want them into. Once again, just the lightest hint of purple, a nice wash at the tip of the petal. Coming back in with just a little bit of water to encourage those colors to blend together a little more. For this particular scarf, I want a very blended look. I don't want to see brush strokes and divisions of color with sharp lines. Once I finished the center, I decided to go back and add a little more to the outer petals, mostly at the tip, but of course I've got to bleed it down. I wanted them lighter than the center, but not so light that it looks like a completely different flower. I'd love to show you the completed scarf, but evidently I lost that footage. So you're just going to have to extrapolate how this scarf turned out. And it was gorgeous. And then I immediately took it to the show and sold it before I got a nice picture of it. So there we go. It was gorgeous while I had it. And somebody else has it now and they love it. Mom took a quick video before we finished setting up the booth, and I think this is the only finished picture I have of the scarf. There it is. That's it. And it's gone.